Well, hello again. Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Here in upstate New York today, even though it's overcast, it's in the 40s. Still a little bit too cold to be outside. But tomorrow, it's supposed to be near 60 degrees. It's amazing. Here, I don't know how it is where you are, but here we're going from 20-something degrees to 60 degrees in the matter of a couple of days. In any case, I'm trying to work on some things to get try to keep it the theme. I mean, obviously the intent of this broadcast is the content, and I want to talk to you about that in just a second. But I like being outside, where the trees and the creek, and I've been at the river a year ago. I took you up in the Adirondacks, different places, to kind of create that ambiance, that kind of feel. But I can't do that right now until I get things set up. In any case, I want to welcome the new subscribers. I see we're getting new subscribers. And I just want to repeat myself here. I'm probably going to do this for a little bit, just so that we're clear. Number one, I am going to suggest, that when I begin a broadcast, you stick with me to the end. 15, 20 minutes at the outside. The reason being, and I've already stated this, but we do have some new subscribers, that I conduct all my teachings, whether it's Bible study or it's preaching, or in this case, the topic of anxiety and depression, these lessons, I always start with something, and then there's a middle portion, then there's an ending. So if you click on for just a couple of minutes, which obviously is your prerogative if that's what you want to do, but you won't get much out of the teaching. So I would suggest that you have the notification bell on, when the videos go up. Even delay watching it if it means you don't really have the time, because we're going to always be covering important content that's going to be hopefully valuable for you in overcoming anxiety and depression. So what I'm saying is try to stick with me for the entire teaching, even though it may sag in the middle, or you feel you're getting a little bit bored or boring. Something else I want to mention too, excuse me, some months back, someone had wrote a comment that, that they were enjoying the teachings, but they wished I would speak a little faster. And I said that I purposely tried to talk as slow as possible. We have some people on this channel who have some very serious mental health issues and nervous conditions. So, I don't want to create an atmosphere where it's just, like an auction. I do watch, other YouTube creators, and it's mainly young people that just talking so quick, 20 things I want to tell you, and they do it in like 7 minutes, and I'm amazed. And you're trying to follow what they're saying, but they're talking so fast. So anyway, I try to keep everything low key here. Preaching is different in the sanctuary. But anyway, that's just a couple of little tidbits that I want you to know. Okay, today I want to talk to you about courage and self-consciousness. And with courage, specifically, I want to attach the concept of not being afraid to make a mistake. So let's begin. First of all, it's not unusual for people who have some type of nervous affliction, some type of nervous symptom, to be self-conscious. For example, some people stutter. Well, that's pretty obvious one. Hard to get past that sometimes. And stuttering, by the way, is, as far as I know, I want to say exclusively, but there's always exceptions to rules. Stuttering is a affliction that is specifically related to nervousness, to a nervous condition. In any case, stuttering would be one. The sweaty hands, you got to shake hands with people, the sweaty armpits, Very difficult, very embarrassing, and certainly would make you self-conscious. A bit of advice that I have given one person some time ago about the sweaty palms and shaking hands. Okay, this is an area, and this is where it's going to take courage. And not so much a courage to make a mistake, but just to have courage. And I suggested to this one young person, number one, you could actually take deodorant, a little deodorant, and put it on your hands. It's not going to, if you sweat profusely with your hands, it's not going to take everything away. But it will help a little bit, and you'll smell nice to boot. But part of the courage in that particular instance would be someone wants to shake your hand and you're reluctant, you're self-conscious. And so you may do something else, fist bump or something. But I suggested to this person, stick your hand out. And of course, people are going to notice that your hands are clammy or sweaty. But the idea behind this particular advice, and I won't call it a technique, but the advice I gave, was to overcome the fear of somebody saying, oh, boy, you feel his hands? It's so clammy all the time, and cold, they can be cold, nervous symptom. The idea is that you have to work your way out of this feeling of being self-conscious all the time, because this vicious cycle I talk about all the time. What happens is that it's creating a vicious cycle. So your hands are clammy and you're retracting, not wanting to shake hands and so on. And it's only feeding the anxiety. It's feeding the anxiety so that every time somebody shakes hands, you keep pulling it back, the habit becomes stronger. It's kind of sad to say, but it's life, that there are people that, let's say, I'm talking about just clammy hands, okay? And your hands are sweaty and your hands are clammy, you stick it out and you say, okay, I'm going to brave this sensation. I'm going to have the courage to face this sensation. I refuse to be self-conscious about this. There's always going to be people that are going to say, ooh, your hands are so clammy, ooh. Well, I don't know that we can fix that. People are just simply, well, I got a couple words in my head, but I'll use the word rude. People are just, they're people. But there has to be this attitude on your part that you're not going to spend the rest of your life having your symptoms lead you. That's a good way to put it. You got to be determined that, you're tired of these symptoms. Okay, well, they're not going to disappear overnight, and I've told you that many times on this channel. If you've subscribed to this channel, many of you have been with me for quite a while, you already got the idea. But if you're new, these are not hacks. These are not quick fixes. This is not how to do this in 3 days. This is not that. This channel is not designed for that. We only have one topic, anxiety and depression, related to techniques and my years of experience and the Bible. That's it. But when it comes to this particular, area, let's say, as an example of having the courage to face self-consciousness and the courage to make a mistake. So I'll get to that. This is, to me, an important thing, to be able to challenge your symptom. Again, you're going to have people saying, oh, what's wrong with your hands? And maybe they'll give you advice and all that. And that makes it worse, but you got to have that kind of intrepid spirit that says, I'm doing this. I'm not going to live the rest of my life being led by my sensations. Quick story. As all of you know, most of you know at least, I go to the gym every single day. I have all my life. I've been a gym rat from the time I was a little kid, before I was a teen. And we had a man in there that I knew had a lot of nervous symptoms. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Your body, for instance, if you cry, and they were to take that tear and put it under a microscope, if you were laughing so hard, and you're crying and you're wiping your eyes because you're just laughing so hard, which thankfully it happens to me frequently, there'll be different chemicals in that tear than if you're crying out of depression. So we take a tear from depression, we take a tear from laughter and humor, and the chemicals in there are different. So basic principle, not difficult to understand that, because the chemicals in our body, they change depending on the situation. Anyway, there was this man, I felt bad for him because he had a tremendous body odor that I knew, and he was sweating, he would sweat even when he was working out, but it wasn't just physical exertion, it was the nervousness, the nervous system malfunctioning. So we had a body odor, and some man who I happen to know was so crass, and he just went over to him one day at the locker room and said to him, you really need to start taking a shower. And oddly enough, this man has a master's degree and he's a teacher, which, a little parenthetical statement here, because someone has education, okay, you see master's degree, PhD, whatever that doesn't mean they're smart. It only means they paid their bill in a university someplace and passed some test. That's all it means. Anyway, I felt bad for this man, and he actually left the gym and joined another gym. It shouldn't have happened. But you may know what I'm talking about, because something similar may have happened to you. With the sweaty hands. Oh, look at you. What's wrong with you? Why are you sweat under the arms? Beads of sweat on your head. These are classic garden variety symptoms that go along with nervousness, anxiety. I wouldn't say so much depression, but more with anxiety. So you're going to have to develop courage. And always keep in mind, as I tell you just about every day, simple principle, not easy to do. So if you already know that this is not easy to do, you can relax and say, all right, well, Pastor Ray has told me this is not easy. And it's not. It's not. Just like I told you a broadcast or so back. Trusting in God is not an easy thing to do. People make it sound like it's easy, but it's not, especially when you're in a real jam. Anyway, these things are not easy to do. To shake someone's hand when your hand is clammy and sweaty, to speak up when, you're required to. Maybe you're in college and you're in a class and you have to speak up. And you got to develop that courage. See, because the courage is what is going to be able to get you through the rest of this life, and our goal here is to conquer your symptoms totally. So, it's not unusual, this first thing, it's not unusual for people with nervous afflictions, nervous symptoms. There's a difference, by the way, between a nervous person and a nervous patient. Right? Pretty easy to figure out, but I'll tell you, a nervous patient is someone who's being treated or has been treated by a psychiatrist or any medical doctor, psychologist. Whereas there's many nervous persons in the world, and you could be one of them, where you've never been on medication and so on. Anyway, you got to be able to face up to the fact that you're self-conscious, and for good reason. Okay, you must also know, except when there's physical signs of sweat, and if you didn't shake someone's hand, they wouldn't know your hand isn't sweaty. So you may opt for that. I'm telling you, I'm advising you against it. Just do it. Forget what they're going to say. Forget that. Just do it. You got to develop courage one way or the other. But one of the good things about nervous symptoms is that if you don't tell anybody, they don't know you're having them. When I used to advise pastors when they're doing their first wedding or funeral, and they're very nervous, I said, just keep in mind that A, nobody knows this is your first wedding or your first funeral, and B, no one knows you're nervous except you. So if you don't say anything, you're good. That's good to know too, that your nervous symptoms are being experienced by you, and most people, again, unless it's stammering and stuttering or something like that, they don't realize what you're feeling. So that's good news. All right, self-conscious. Self-consciousness, we conquer it by refusing to not take the steps to break the habit of being self-conscious, and that's where courage comes in. This is going to be, as it has been throughout history, these virtues. Courage is along the long list of short list, I should say, of virtues that philosophers as well as the Bible has always encouraged people to have. You're going to need courage to brave your sensations, to, as I talked about this week, to move your muscles, get out and walk around and so on. It takes a lot of fortitude, patience as well. but you're going to have to develop the courage to make a mistake once in a while. Now, I'm not talking about making a mistake like you're going to be putting down large money on something to buy it. That takes a little thought, maybe a lot of thought. Who you're going to marry should take a lot of thought. And so there's, decisions like that. But the little decisions, nervous people, nervous patients often have a difficult time making up their mind. So I'm going to tell you, you got to have the courage to even make a mistake. That, I don't mean marriage and big decisions. I'm talking about little stuff, everyday little stuff that you can use, have the courage to make a mistake so that you can use that against the self-consciousness. Because average people simply make mistakes. And we all do it all the time. And the last thing I want to leave with you today is this. The average person doesn't, well, let me say you don't judge other people too harshly, but you judge yourself very, very harshly. And I know, I understand, but that's not what you want to do. You want to be able to think about when other people make small mistakes, a slip in their speech, an error, and be able to say, well, people make mistakes, so don't be so hard on yourself. And that's going to go a long way to help you to be relieved and to alleviate the self-consciousness. So you will be able to develop courage by simply going against your sensations, in the sense of not letting them dictate to you that you don't leave the house and you're not shaving and you're not washing and bathing and I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that people don't do through because they have these nervous symptoms, and you live a life that is very, very, what's the word? So many people live a life that is it's very sad. It's very sad. And that's not what you want. You are subscribed to this channel, I assume, to really conquer your symptoms. And this is going to take time. So that's the last thing I want to remind you about. I got to keep these lessons short. Let's face it, if you lose subscribers, everybody just wants things quick. So I try my best to do 15, 20 minutes, which I'm suggesting that you cut that time out of your day to watch the whole thing. Not everything is going to be your address your need, but over the course of time, you're going to learn what I've learned over almost 50 years now of studying this subject. You're going to learn a lot, so that means it's coming in little increments, and we'll give it a little bit at a time. So courage, you're going to have the courage. You're going to take the courage. You're going to take the initiative to go out and do things, even against the fatigue and the restlessness and the hurried thoughts and all of that. And keep in mind that one illustration I gave you about shaking hands, again, that's going to take a lot of courage. And you're going to have people that are going to be, can I use the word stupid? Some people are just stupid. And can't do anything about that. But they're kind of thoughtless. But hey, we stick together. All of us now, I don't know how many subscribers we got, but we're gaining more every day. We stick together, pray for one another, encourage one another. You are going to make it. Now I'm just saying that because it sounds good when you say it on YouTube. I believe in you. You don't even know me. How do you believe in me? I don't like that kind of stuff. I'm just simply saying, even though I don't know you, I can pray for you, and you can pray for me, and together we walk, and together we make it. Okay? I'm asking you today to take initiative, do something that's going to take courage, and walk out against your symptoms in Jesus' name. Let me pray for you. So, Father, I just thank you for my friends, this nice little group that we got here. Keep helping them to make progress with the intention that in the end they will have a final cure and be totally free from all their fears. And I ask that in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, once again, if you want to subscribe to the channel, others are. The group is small at the moment, fairly small, and I can keep up with the comments and prayer requests that you send me. So, if you want to subscribe, just keep in mind that this isn't one of those, hopping around type channels. So, I'm not saying don't subscribe if you want to do that, but I'm just saying that it probably won't do you much good. So if you want to subscribe, hit the notification button as well, and we're good to go. And as always, I appreciate the thumbs up if you're getting something out of these lessons. All right? All right, tomorrow's Saturday. What is it, December the 9th? And God willing, and the creek don't rise. And if it's warm like it's supposed to be, I'll try to get us outside by the lazy river. All right, till I see you then, God bless. See you tomorrow.